actually a good question.
Oh, I see. It just hiccuped. I thought we were live, and then it blinked out. But
Yeah,
now we are
Now
live.
it says we've been live for a while.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
And you got to be careful with this live lark.
Ah,
Someone
Gerald
said,
did the bit.
"Yay!"
Okay. This is Literary Roadhouse. One short story once a week. I'm Anais.
I'm Gerald.
I'm Andy.
Okay. Every time Andy delivers it
I'm
differently.
Yes.
Today's
I'm
depressed.
Andy.
Is it because the story's depressing? I don't know. I wasn't depressed.
I don't know.
All right.
It's
What was the story we
confusing.
read this week? This week, we read Extinction by Azareen Vliet Oloomi. The story's narrator is born in Los Angeles to a family of refugees from war-torn Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Her family suffers from chronic illness and resents her for her health. She is obsessed with death and illness and joins a death cafe where she meets Beatriz, a woman in her 70s who lives in Madrid and shares the narrator's fascination with illness and death. They become close friends. Beatriz suggests the narrator reads Josep Pla, a writer during the 1980 plague era who lived in Girona, Spain. The narrator moves to Girona to read Pla in his environment. Her fascination and reflections on death and illness grows as she meditates on the subject. Beatriz shares an insight with the narrator about the narrator, which is that the narrator is actually not healthy. She is depressed. The narrator's roommate, Paz, in a peak of frustration with the narrator's brooding, takes the narrator contact dancing, which honestly, I think it's group foreplay with an instructor. The next day, the narrator receives a letter from Beatriz, which reveals that Beatriz is very ill, has been for a long time, is in pain, and is ready to die on her own terms. The narrator drives all the way to Madrid to find Beatriz's dead body at peace. Suddenly, the narrator breaks out in rashes, blisters. She feels heat. She fuses with papers. She accepts this as her cross-generational inheritance, the toxic waste of wars that had consumed her family, now claiming her at last. Okay. What did you guys think? Gerald's making a lot of faces. So, Gerald, what did you think of it?
I'm making a lot of faces. I mean, first question is: Does Death Cafe exist? Do Death Cafes exist?
That was one of my first questions. Really.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
excellent.
Did anyone Google it?
No.
No, why would we do that?
Okay.
Well, we thought someone might know.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
Google.
deathcafe.com is an event where people drink tea, eat cake, and discuss death, as described in the story. Seems to
Okay.
exist.
That's real.
Okay.
That's real.
Cool, thank you.
Yep.
So we did need
Scheduled
to Google it afterwards.
It's a non-profit for the purpose of talking death over food and drink, usually tea and cake. It has its own Wikipedia page.
Okay, cool. You can stop now.
It originates from a Swiss sociologist and
Apparently not.
anthropologist. No, this seems important.
Okay.
Who organized the first Death Cafe in 2004. The format and purpose, I'm just kind of skimming this Wikipedia page, helps relax the taboo of speaking about death, particularly with strangers, encourage people to express their own wishes for after they die.
Okay.
All
Cool, thank
right.
you. All right. So now we're better educated. So yeah, I enjoyed the sort of the travel-y bit. I like the bit where she went to Spain, and that was quite jolly. I didn't get the ending. I was trying to understand. At one point, I wondered whether she was the woman. And so as soon as she found her dead, then she also died or something. But maybe that was a bit too far. So I don't. And it mentioned Bardo, which made me twitch a bit because after linking in Bardo, we don't want.
I want to reread it so badly. One of the
Do
best
you?
books.
Well, you
I
can.
love it so much.
You can.
It's there.
Yeah, but it's rubbish. So yeah. So I don't know what I think about it. I really, I enjoyed the reading of it, and I came away with going, okay.
Yeah, the ending seems a little obvious to me, so now I'm worried that because it seems so obvious to me, that I might be making leaps that aren't there. So, Andy,
okay.
what do you make of the ending? What happened?
I don't know. She like fucking turned to paper or something dumb. What?
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
What? That's not how things work. That's not a thing that happens.
I think it's nuclear Armageddon. The description is basically like a nuclear death. The
Yes.
fusing,
Yeah,
the immobility, the
except
rashes, the heat.
It was set in 2019. And
So?
I'm familiar with the lack of nuclear bombs in Madrid in 2019.
What if it was a nuclear death for her in a magical realist way?
Oh dear.
Well, then I don't know what happened again.
Yeah, because then that's the only bit of magical
The
realism
whole
in the
thing
whole
was
thing.
about plagues.
Yeah.
It wasn't
And,
just
like,
about plagues.
There was a lot about plagues.
There was a lot of plagues, but there was
whole
also a
thing.
lot about, like, when she's dying, she talks about the cross-generational inheritance coming to claim her at last.
Yeah,
And
okay.
earlier in the story, there's the idea that the pandemic is punishment for ancestors' dreams of murder. There's a lot of, like, humanity's kind of comeuppance based on its history, a lot of looking back to explain why they feel like humanity is on the brink of extinction, and it's called Extinction. So that's why I'm like, I think it's a nuclear Armageddon. Maybe just for her, like, maybe like in her, if you want to go magical realist, it's sort of just manifesting after she has spent all this time studying this.
But I don't know if
Also,
I
did
do
you
want to
see
go
everything?
magical realist. Like, it didn't prime me for that. Like, what am I doing?
No, it did not. I think she just died of a nuclear blast. There was just a lot of, like, we're on the brink of death as a species.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit about that, but there was a lot of
Well,
traveloguing
also,
and
she was in Spain for 5 years. I think it starts in 2019, but it goes to 2024.
Okay. I missed that detail.
oh, me too.
All
I
right.
think so. I think I caught that because there was one place where
Okay.
she says she's 20 years old and another place where she says she's 25. I'm
Oh,
pretty
she
sure.
left in 2019, right?
No, she left in 2019 at the tender age of 25.
25.
Oh, that was 25. Because there was something about 5 years that I felt like 5 years had gone by or
I'll
something.
just use the old Control F here.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
I'm looking for. Maybe I misremembered that part. If it is still 2019, it is weird, but also why does it have to follow our history?
Yeah. Nope. That's all I
yeah,
got.
because she wasn't there long because she pretty much ran out of money fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But she did spend
Mhm.
some time there. Mm.
Where did yeah, maybe it was only like
Yeah.
less than a year.
Yeah.
Well, because it was 2024, then guys, we don't have much time left.
Nope.
There was
Yeah.
something towards the end. Was it? Oh, wait, hold on. No. Oh, 30 kilometers per hour, maybe. Okay, no. I drove
Yes.
down the highway for 2 days
That's-
at 30.
Right. You thought,
Yeah.
I thought it meant
30.
30 years old. At some point, my head did a 5-year calculation. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
Yep.
Cars overtaking me at both sides with speed. Okay.
Yep.
This is
yeah.
what happens when you read
So-
jet lagged.
Yeah, it's true.
Yep.
You've
I was
been
just 30
traveling.
now.
You've been to Europe.
Mhm.
Did you buy a rusty VW camper while you were there? Because that's all the rage apparently.
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
Oh.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, why did you come then?
Wasted trip.
Yeah, I'd have thought so. So it's the ending is a problem. The ending.
I don't know. It's called Extinction, and it delivers on that if you believe it's a nuclear Armageddon.
But that's just out of nowhere. It's
Yeah,
neither foreshadowed nor like current shadowed. Like what's happening is not explained as it's happening. And also nothing's really set me up for any sort of magical realism.
And it just happens to be when she arrived at the apartment eventually and closed the woman's eyes, and then it all started. You know, she picked up the papers, and then nuclear Armageddon happened.
Right. Also, the whole thing, like she's narrating this from the afterlife or limbo or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So she could tell us what happened.
Actually, why do you think the author chose to have the narrator tell the story from the afterlife?
I don't know, because it's pretentious.
What? Wow. Okay.
Awesome.
I went through a little bit of a journey, and I started reading this story, and I immediately, like, sentence one, rolled my eyes like, what a dumb, pretentious voice. And then as I was reading, I was like, okay, wait, it's the narrator's a character. The narrator's the character. Maybe they're just dumb and pretentious, and it's actually a really clever move of the actual real life author to write in this dumb, pretentious voice for this, stuck up their own butt, death obsessed person, right? So for a little while in the middle, I was like, okay, this is clever. And they're like, no.
No.
Even if it is clever, the shine came off, and I'm like, well, I'm still reading this, and I don't want to be. So
you know what's funny?
Yeah.
I had the same moment where I was like, there's a bit of like a intellectual like circle jerk going on here.
Yeah.
But it felt real to like this character. So it felt fine, same journey as you. And then eventually I was like, it's also maybe just how this author likes literature, interacts with literature. But it didn't bother me too much. Just because like it did make me appreciate authors who don't do that. I thought of Sally Rooney. But I felt like I gave it a pass because it fit this particular story so well that I was like, it's fine. Yeah. And also the pretension is necessary for somebody who moves to an old medieval town to read a particular author who wrote about the pandemic in 1918. Like it's a requirement for that character anyway.
How many words did this end up being?
6,296.
Felt like more.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think because the thing about reading about the plague is that happened. The plague happened. It was real. There is documentary evidence. It's history. It's there. So why would you, if you're reading about the facts of the plague that happened, then why would that somehow right?
I don't think she was reading just facts. I think the writer that she was reading writes fiction,
literature.
Yeah,
right.
That happened to be set in that time, but from the experiences
people
he
who
was
were set in that time.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Right. That like to fully appreciate this story, I could have Googled some of these authors she was reading, and like had better appreciation. So that's fully on me for choosing not to do that, but also, I signed up to read your story. You need to give me homework.
Yeah.
I do not like stories where you have to look things up to understand.
But like if I had already read those, I'd feel very clever. You know what I mean? Like if I was more familiar with those people, I'd feel real clever right now, and I'd probably get a bunch more of the references.
And we'd probably go, ha 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 ha! I see what you did there.
Well, so I'm not the target demographic, so I don't want to say it's a fault of the story, but I did not enjoy it.
Who's the target demographic?
I don't know. Someone who's into
not you.
Yes. So the guy, I think he was also a journalist, so he was doing some I think that might be where the confusion is. There was some nonfiction, but also fiction. Okay. And apparently he inspired a lot of other well-known works of fiction, including Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Okay. Who's Bolaño?
It was I've talked about Bolaño before.
Yeah.
With 2666, which I'm pretty sure I've gushed about. Bolaño's great. But yeah, I like Bolaño. Yeah. I'm just kind of looking at a lot of stuff. He has fiction, but also a lot of nonfiction, but also folkloric essays, anthropological works, biography, travel writing, political writing. He's a bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think you need. I don't know. I feel like I like the story more than you guys.
Right. Well, I think just it would be enhanced if I had been a different person coming into the story, but I wasn't. I'm the person I am, and I found it tedious.
I didn't find it tedious, actually. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. You're not the person I am.
Yeah. I thought it was fine. But now I'm not so confident that it's a nuclear Armageddon at the end. I'm like, oh, this sounds like a nuclear death.
I get where you're coming from. It sounds like a bunch of weird shit.
It looks like a nuclear death with the sky's red and all that sort of stuff, and she's disappearing and turning into paper and that sort of thing. So yes, the facts of her descriptive terms lend you to think that, but why?
Right? How much is that poetic?
Yeah.
How much is she, the narrator, being poetic about her own death after the fact, and maybe she just hung herself, and she just. Like, in the library with the papers.
There's nothing about the narrator, the afterlife narrator, in any way telling us that there's no clues that the rest of the world goes on after her death either.
There's no clues that it doesn't either, though.
Yeah,
like it's,
I know, but yeah,
she's just like super psyched to be dead now.
the only thing that I could see is useful about having the narrator be the character in the afterlife is that sometimes she makes fun of herself and sometimes she affirms her conclusions. Sometimes like, okay, that one's true, that's a real truth. This is just me being youthful and dumb. And that sorting I felt was a little helpful.
Like what? Example thereof.
Example thereof.
Let me see if I can find a control F where she basically is just like, that was dumb. Like, not dumb, but like, I was being useful.
Okay.
Control F on the word death is not useful in this story.
No.
Strangely. Don't know. I didn't mean to question you like this. I was just trying for greater insight.
Like, sometimes it's just insights about herself. Like, I can see now with the punitive retrospective gaze, death abundantly provides that my obsession had everything to do with the living on the margins of society alongside those who live in the kingdom of the sick. Just like a little, like, adds context.
Oh, okay. Yes.
But also sometimes she's like, Yeah. Or just little things like, that's when I met Beatrice, my savior, my heroine, my end all be all. Not even my death changes that. Sign of a true friendship, right? Like that. Yeah. But yeah, there was other points where she's just like, maybe that's not a big deal. I realize
not
now.
that, yes,
calmer.
this. The not that, yes, this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Is helpful.
Yeah.
I also kind of like that the afterlife conception here is kind of what we all hope it will be, like a little bit, which is just like, and then you'll be all knowing and you'll know who's actually to blame, what you were right about, what you were wrong about, like the grand sorting, the big scorecard you get, like, aha, which I don't think is actually the afterlife, but we all kind of wish it were. Like, if you get mad at someone, you're just like, and then in the afterlife, you're going to see I was right all along.
It's like, I can't remember, somebody's tombstone reads, "See, I told you I was ill." I think it might be Spike Milligan or somebody, but yeah, that's sort of, I can see how, but I think it's because of this sort of in betweeny bardo afterlife, still capable of expression and cogent thought and telling a story in some means or other. I think I'm probably butting up against my magical realism hesitations.
I'm butting up against Gerald's magical realism hesitations.
Yes.
I say that it hadn't been foreshadowed, and obviously, like, it was very clear from the beginning that this was a person narrating their life story from the afterlife. And so I guess like that actually does foreshadow some sort of magical realism stuff. But like, I was like, other than up to when they died, I think this is mostly really grounded in.
Yeah, I suppose I didn't see why she had to. He, I don't know. Why they had to say that. Why they, because they, in that first couple of pages, she said like 3 times at least, because now I'm dead, by the way, in case you hadn't worked out when I said I'm dead before. And I
maybe
just think,
maybe it was a metaphor the first time.
Right,
of course, like one of those, like a goth kid.
Yeah,
I'm dead. I'm still here, but I'm dead. Like no, I'm literally dead.
Literally dead.
I'm in the realm of spirits and shadows.
Yeah.
A little
Very nice.
magical.
Yeah. I can get on board with that.
Yep.
Maybe. Not really. Yeah. So
Okay.
frustration, I think, from the male section of this podcast.
Yeah, I just really thought it was, and there was a moment sort of in the first third. I started off real hard against it, and I started to come around. And then if the story had come to a rapid conclusion there, I think I'd have a different opinion of it. But as it progressed, I was like, no, you're just, even if what you're doing is clever, I don't like it. And so this is too much of it.
I liked it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Strangely, I quite liked it. I didn't mind it at all. I enjoyed reading it until the end, and I just went.
Yeah, I stopped liking it about halfway through, and then the end didn't help me redeem anything. A different ending might have, but I don't know.
And
I don't think
going back
the
to
story's for me.
Going back to the feeling of like pretension or like intellectual circle jerk, but if you have the substance to back it up, which I do think this story does have, like if you actually are though an intellectual who like knows these things and can string them together, you can get away with it, right? Like sometimes you'll hear something is written this like kind of pretentious kind of tone, and then it doesn't actually have the substance, and that's when I think I was just analyzing like, why do I forgive it here? Oh, because you actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
when you have the substance, I'll forgive it. I think when I've seen pretentiousness and it's like it's just a vibe, but there's no actual like substance, I get angry. So at least here you back it up. All right, you can do it. You won the right to do it. You put in the work. Yeah.
Okay.
Because this story is not just vibes. Maybe that's why I like it and forgive it so much. It's not just a vibe story. It's actually saying something.
And it has a narrative. And I like the fact that it has a narrative that it starts with her taking off and flying to Europe and having a bit of a journey and walking in the footsteps of her heroes and that sort of thing, and then interacting with various interesting people along the way. That it was good. I was very much enjoying that, and then it got weird at the end. So it's don't know how to score it though. A tricky one.
Give it a number between like 1 and 6.
Okay, I could try that. Yeah.
Inclusive. Anyway. Sorry. Yeah. And also this idea of us being currently still on the hook for past violence feels very true given what's happening in the world.
There is that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for current violence, of course.
Right.
Yeah. I'm still wondering about numbers.
All right. Well, I'm ready to rate.
Yeah, give it some numbers.
I'm giving it a 5.
That's a high number.
It was well constructed. But I didn't get bored or angry at any point. So
yeah.
Go on, Andy.
Okay. I appreciate Anais's 5. And I just want the fullness of that 5 to sit on its own for a moment, because I think the author deserves that 5. But my experience of this story is going to be like a 2.
Okay. Wow.
I just did it. I got angry and frustrated with it. And that's a me problem.
I guess. And my problem is that I did like reading it. I did like the much of the story, and I didn't like the ending. So, did the ending ruin the story for me? Actually, no, not that much. Okay, no, thank you. Right, I've talked out my problem out loud. So I will give it a 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Gerald, what are we reading next week?
Well, next week, as I said off air, I was trying to find something that had a resonance to current affairs, but I couldn't find anything that I particularly wanted to read. So instead, we're going to A.S. Byatt's Sea Story, which has a bit of end of the world-ish about it, but it's all right. I think it's only 2,200 words, so it's not too bad.
Karina reads a shitload of Byatt.
Does she?
Shitload.
Her long
excited
stuff,
then.
I
She has
can't.
been tasting.
The long stuff, yeah.
A long stuff. I can't get on with the long stuff at all. Yeah.
It seems a lot.
Yeah,
I haven't like dipped my toe in. It's a lot.
I think she was the one. I was reading something for a book club, and I think it was some feast, and it was just list of foods on the table for a whole page, and I thought, this is
the good
silly.
stuff.
Yes.
Was it at least in a list format, or was it like
no?
Like
so on this table was this and that, and there was some cooked that and red.
Yeah, like some Redwall stuff.
It's really.
That's Brian Jakes' whole career there. He's telling me about.
Low battery. Sorry, I'm still like
okay.
Mode. So I'm gonna do the outro.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Before you go, tell us about your relationship with death in our Facebook discussion group, the Literary Roadhouse Readers. Want to read more accounts of humanity's tendency to self-destruct? Keep this podcast going by leaving a review of Literary Roadhouse wherever you get your podcasts, or supporting us on patreon.com/Literary Roadhouse. Every bit helps. And as always, share this podcast with the contact dancing class in your life. Until next time, read a good story.
Contact dancing.
Yep.